Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to be installing a ceiling fan just like this one here, and we're going to match this one. So what we had to do is we had to find the style of ceiling fan this was. We had to make some phone calls. We had to check out some different stores. So now we've located the ceiling fan. This is the type we're going to install. Okay, I've attached my ground wire up to a mounting screw. Now I've got them down like that. Now I'm ready to slide the mounting housing up there for the fan. Okay, I've got the screws up in here. Now there's a little bit of play in this mounting bracket, and I've previously centered the mounting box before we did the sheetrock exactly where I want it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to center this. Even though there's only a slight play, I'm still going to center it. On your project, if you have to slide it over to cover something up, you know, a mark on the wall or something, you can do that. But you've got just a little bit of a flex here, but I'm centering mine. Okay, after I center it, I'm just going to hold it up there and tighten up my screws. Now, as I told you, on mine, the knuckle around this is on the far side. You can't really see it, but where these wires are, I'm going to reroute these wires through this. Because once I lift the ceiling fan up in here, I've got to reach around and fit the knuckle, lift the knuckle up on this side over here and slip it into this slot. So I've got to get these wires out of the way. Okay, I've rerouted the wires over on this side, so now I'm clean and free over on this side here. So I'm ready to bring the ceiling fan over here. Now, make sure you read your directions and everything. This particular ceiling fan has a light switch that's a manual light switch. Some have an automatic free-holding unit that you can turn on and off. Obviously, if you have something like that, then you'll wire it a different way. I'm basically doing it the way the directions say for this. If your ceiling fan is slightly different, follow the directions. Here's my ceiling fan unit. You can see this is a little bugger. Some of them are heavier than others. I'm hanging on to this, I don't know, 20 pounds, 25 pounds or so. I want to make sure, I've got to slip it up over here, so make sure these wires are out of your way. You're going to gently lift it up in here on this right hand side. Get your ground wire out of there, slip it up and just kind of rest it there. Now you remember there was a groove in there. We've got to be real important. Got to keep track of where that is. We're just going to slip this around until it falls into place. Now, when I swivel this, you'll see it fall. Feel that? Now it's set. You've got to make sure that gets set. If you don't set that in there, your fan's going to wobble around, and you don't want that. Okay, so that's what your fan's going to look like for right now. You remember how long our wires were. We're not going to need all these wires, this wire, but we're going to reroute the wires and shove them over to this side over here so that we can hook them up to here. So you can cut some of this off. Give yourself an allowance of 8 or 9 extra inches in case you make a mistake. The reason why this wire is so long when it comes out of the box is if you were installing this and if you have here our rod is not very long. If you had a rod about 4 feet long, obviously you're going to need this extra wire. So they do you a favor in the box. They allow for that. So that's a really good feature. So we're going to cut off the excess wire. Okay, here we got the ground wires. What we're going to do is we're going to hook up the ground wires first. We've got 2 small little ground wires. These are the green ones. And we've got the bare one that was coming out of the box. Now we can do this a couple different ways. As you remember, I screwed this to the metal box already inside the box. Now we can keep that. We can connect these 3 together. We could also take one of the mounting screws and wrap this underneath one of the mounting screws. But I've already done that inside the metal box. I could have cut this off inside the metal box after I attach it to the metal box. What I'm going to do, I think, is I'm gonna put this inside the metal. Well, actually, I'm just gonna connect all three of these together at this point. Read your directions. I mean, there are a couple different ways to do it. I'm just giving you different options. Read the directions and make sure. I don't want to tell you something wrong that you don't understand, that you don't feel uncomfortable with, okay? So what we're going to do at this point is connect the ground wires together. Okay, corporate decision. I've got the other bare ground wire connected to the metal box already. Lots of times if you have an existing wiring coming down, you're just going to have these two, but I am properly grounded up there. If you do the new install, make sure that you have it connected to the metal box. Then all we're going to do is worry about these two. We're going to twist these together and put a wire cap on there. Okay, I've twisted the two green wires together. Now in the container with the ceiling fan, I got some yellow wire nuts. I'm not going to use these yellow wire nuts because they're way too big for this, I think. It has a tendency, when you tighten it up, it might be a little loose. So what I always do is I always bring some extra wire nuts. This is an orange one. It's a little bit smaller than the yellow ones. This looks like about the right size. They also have little blue ones, and that could work too. So I'm going to use the blue wire nut, I think, and put it on there. That'll get me a nice tighter connection, and so that's how we're going to do that. Before I push this up, I can push this up into the box now, and I'll kind of filter it up in there. You can do that right now. What I like to do is I'm going to put some wire, some electrical tape on here, wrap it around there, just so I know that this wire nut's not going to get loose. It's tight now, but if I put electrical tape around there, it'll be for sure certain that it's not going to get loose in the future. And now I got the electrical tape in there. Take the green wires, and I can gently push them back up in here and get those out of the way. Okay, it's up in there. Now this is what I got left. I got a black and white wire from the box, and from the ceiling fan I've got a black, white, and a blue wire. Now if you're wondering about the blue wire, what's the blue wire for? Generally what the blue wire is for is if you have a light kit that you're going to install on the bottom of your fan or something like that, you would use this, the blue wire, for your light kit. So I'm not going to cut this wire off. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to wrap it up, and I'm even going to put a wire nut, believe it or not, on the end of it. You don't have to, but I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to wrap this up and put it up into the box, so that later on, if somebody ever decided to buy a light fan kit for their unit, they still have this up in the box. So I'm going to be nice for the next person, just in case they want to put a light on their fan. Okay, I've got the blue wire in there. I've got the black and white left, black and white. So we're going to connect the black to the black, the white to the white. These little wires coming from the fan, I'm just going to leave them a little long. They're very flexible, and it'll be easy to flex them up in there. I just like to leave them a little bit long is all. You don't have to. I could cut them off, and I'm going to strip these and we'll get ready to connect those up. Here's the little wire strippers I'm using. I'm going to go around that, strip off a little bit of the housing, maybe a little bit more. Pull that off. I'm going to take this because it's just frayed wire, you know, small little wires. I'm going to twist them around like that before I put them on the solid wire. Okay, so do that on your black and white wire that's coming from the fan. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two wires and kind of twist them together a little bit, then put them on. This is like little splayed wiring. I'm going to put that on there like that. They gave me yellow wire nuts. I'm going to decide. I'll probably end up using the orange ones only because I have them. They're just a hair smaller than the yellows. The yellows would probably work too. Main thing is to make sure that you have a nice connection there and tighten it up. You want it snug. If you can tighten and tighten and tighten and tighten and it keeps spinning, that tells you your wire nut is too big. So just make it snug. Okay, I've got the wire nuts on there. I've got them all nice and tight. I put electrical tape. Again, you don't need to do that. That's just something extra I do. And now I'm going to wrap these up and put them up in the box. As you're pushing these wires up there, make sure you don't hit your little green clips that are attached, or your little clips that are attached to the ground wires up there. You want to make sure you don't snap those off. So make sure you watch what you're doing when you're doing this. Okay, we're ready to put this housing up. The housing's got two little screw holes. You're going to line those up, hold that in. You're going to take your little screw deals with the caps on there and screw them up there. Now the directions sometimes say put the little stud in there first, screw it up in there, and then put the cap on. I usually like to put the cap on the little threads and then line it up and screw it in. Okay, this little cap fits on this stud of the screw. I like to put this on first so that I know it's tight. Then I'll screw it up in there. So that's the way I do it, and that's a good way to do it. Okay. Okay, I'm holding the housing up there. I'm just screwing that up. These are going to hold the housing up tight to the ceiling. I've got both those on. Make sure you're nice and snug. That's what it's going to look like. Okay, at this point, make sure you look at the directions, because we're going to take, we've got two types of brackets to install on these fans, the fan blades. So make sure you look at the directions and figure it out. Look at your fan blades, because there's a front and back. Sometimes there's one side, there's one color, and one side another color, so you can determine which side you want facing down. These don't have that, but what it does have is there's something here. It says this side up. So I know this side is going to be facing up. So on this particular fan, I'm going to situate all those up like that, and I've already looked at the directions. I'm going to put these on, and make sure you use the right screws. Remember, there's two different lengths of screws. Make sure you check it out first. Now I'm just going to attach these to all my fan blades. That's the first step. Okay, so this portion fits on here. I've got this. I'm actually going to just slip that in underneath. I'm going to put that on there like that, and then I'm going to screw that together. Make sure you read the directions. Worst case scenario, if you get it wrong, you can always take it apart, put it back together again. But look at your directions, guys. You're just going to do one at a time. Get the screws on there and snug it up. Don't tighten them too tight. Just snug for right now. Okay. You got 5 fan blades, so you all want to make sure they look all the same. Okay, so we're going to do all 5 fan blades now. As you tighten the fan blades, make sure that everything looks the same. Sometimes this one, it's kind of a no-brainer because there's a notch that kind of fits in there, but sometimes there's just 2 holes, and then you have to line this up, make sure this is straight, flip it around, just make sure it all looks straight before you cinch down and snug up the screws. This is what your little fan bracket's going to look like now. Nicely finished. It's attached on there. Here's the back piece, screwed in there. Once you screw your first one up, kind of hold it up there. Make sure you got it on the right direction. Okay, so now we're going to go into the other room. And we're going to hold these up to the fan, and we're going to screw them in. Okay, you're going to hold these up here like this with one hand, and you're going to hold a screw and put it up here in the other hand. It's kind of tricky and awkward. There's some numbers up here too, but the directions, sometimes they show you which numbers to use and sometimes not. So you're going to want to put one up there, and obviously you got 5 of these. You can have way more than 10 screw holes up here. So look at it, kind of hold one up and kind of eyeball and see where you're going to start the next one, and put one up and see what happens. Like I say, it's a little tricky. This is how you're going to hold it. If you're by yourself, and you'll probably be by yourself, you're going to hold it up there and lift it up here all in one go. Line it up and start screwing it in. Okay, just hold it like that and put these screws in. Just make them snug for right now. We can tighten them up later, but get them up there and you've got 2 for each one, okay? So you're just going to follow this around and put all 5 of them up here, one at a time. Okay, look at this, we're getting close with the fan. We've got the 5 blades on. Now you're going to want to go around and tighten up, snug up each one of these screws as you go. Make sure you don't miss any now. So tighten those up all the way around. Real snug, don't try to strip the screw head or anything. Go all the way around. Okay, now that you have that done, I want you to go all the way around and double check, make sure you didn't miss one. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to put this chain's in a little plastic bag here. If you were wondering what that was, here's a chain. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the little name tag, and it's used for a little pull too. We're going to put that on. Now if you have a really super high ceiling, you can put it on down here at the bottom. If you have a low ceiling, you might want to cut off a portion of this chain so this goodie is not down too low. So we're going to cut this off and we're going to put it on about there. Okay, I've cut the chain off. Now I've slid this little pull up on here. And in your plastic bag comes this little goodie at the end. Now you've got to snap that on the end, and then that'll fit up in this notch, and I can drop this back down. It's kind of tricky. You got to have really strong fingers to smash this on here, but follow the directions, look at it, and pinch hard. Okay, now drop this back down into place so I can't see the bottom of the chains. Okay, so that's what that's going to look like. Okay, this is your finished product. This is what your fan's going to look like. You've got everything ready to go. We're going to go ahead and turn it on at the fan switch. As you remember, in the wall we've got an adjustable fan switch speed mechanism. So I'll show you what we do with that. Okay, here's our fan switch control. We've got off, 1, 2, and 3. When you put it on 1, you should have it on the high speed, medium speed, low speed. So I'm going to turn it on 1 and our fan should go on. So we'll be right back with you with the mechanism. There's a little bit that I'm going to explain to you, so hang tight. Okay, I'm going to turn the fan switch on, but when I turn that on, if your fan doesn't go on, you're going to want to pull this. This can adjust it. This can go off, high speed, medium speed, and slow speed. If you only have a switch on your wall with just an on-off, you can control it with right here. Lots of people don't like to do that. They want to adjust it at their switch. That's why we have 3 speeds on our switch. So make sure once you turn it on, you can adjust this to high speed. Okay, there's also a switch on the side of your fan. Read your directions and I'll explain to you for heat in the winter and also in the summer. If it's in the summer, you're going to want this in one position. This particular fan is down for summer, up for winter. So you want it down. When you turn the fan on in the summer, you want the air to hit you straight directly underneath it. So turn it on, check that out, make sure you got that adjusted. Okay, here's our fan in high speed. Man, this feels really nice. I'm glad we decided to install a fan. We didn't have a fan in this location and it feels wonderful. We can adjust that with our fan switch to medium and low, and we've got it on high right now, and just wanted you to see how it works. It looks great. Now make sure you read all your directions and have fun with your project. Well, the ceiling fan works. Everything turned out really nice on this project. I'm very pleased with the outcome. I hope you've learned something on this video. Thanks for watching. Just remember, if you see a video that Joe does, you too can do it. I wouldn't be too concerned about anything that you see on my channel. You got any questions? Drop me a line. I'll get back to you with the answers. I'm always here to help